Hi, this is Jennifer Rowland from Crossroads Literacy, and I want to talk to you today a bit about the alphabet. It is so important for students to know with great security the names of the letters of the alphabet. Because of this, I want to share some different activities with you and just share a little information with you. First of all, a letter has four properties: its name, the shape, the sound that it makes, and the feel. In other words, what's happening with your lips, your teeth, your tongue, your vocal cords when you make that particular sound. The name of the letter is the only stable property. It could be a variety of shapes: uppercase, lowercase, cursive, various fonts. The sound could differ. For example, all vowels make a short sound and a long sound. And then, of course, if we're making a variety of sounds, the feel within our mouth is also going to be different. So the name of the letter is very, very important. It's kind of like the name of a person. I may have many characteristics about myself, but rather than describing all these different characteristics, if you just know my name, then you're going to be better able to understand who it is that we're talking about and link information to me. Same with the name of a letter. If we know that we've got the letter C, then here's information that we're going to learn about the letter C, and having that very stable, in fact, overlearned, is really important. In fact, knowing the names of the letters is one of the best predictors of future reading success with our emerging readers. So, a few activities I want to share with you. First of all, there's some materials you may want to have on hand. An alphabet strip. You can make these, or you can also order them. You can see I've got an uppercase, a lowercase. This one actually is uppercase on one side, and then it has the cursive alphabet on the other side. These materials did come from a company called Abecedarian and from alphabetletters.com. Another nice tool to have are 3D letters. This also came from that same company, and both uppercase and lowercase letters. You do want to start with uppercase letters when you're working with children and as they're learning the names, because there's less opportunity for transposing uppercase letters versus lowercase letters. For example, B and D, very common, one that we reverse. Alphabet letters also has mats. They're 12 by 18. They come laminated, so you can easily clean them and use them with a variety of children. They're also scaffolded in that if a child needs this much support with having the outline for placing those 3D letters, they can use that. If they have mastered that and moved on and are ready for a little more of a challenge, they could use the arc. You can see the alphabet strips up there also, so they could name and place those letters. I'll also show you that if you did order from alphabet letters, they fit perfectly over the letters, so they're the identical size and shape. They are uppercase, and if you also wanted to invest, these are, I think, $3.35 a piece, and actually that might be a little high, maybe $2.35. There are also lowercase, similar. You certainly don't need to have those mats. You could just use a tabletop or the desk where the child works. You may just want to raid the teacher space and grab a nice big sheet of paper and utilize that, just so maybe the children won't get their letters mixed up as readily. I have shared with Kara, and therefore also with you, a couple of documents. So let's take a quick look and see just some initial activities to do with students, and then also some secondary activities. So the initial activities, you can see in red, I have step 1 in your daily alphabet activities. And that is actually just touching and naming the letters of the alphabet. A few things to keep in mind. Make sure the child is touching the correct letter while he or she is naming it. If you do have multiple students in a group, keep them in unison. We don't want some child going ahead and one lagging behind. They're going to be hearing a variety of letters, and it's not going to help to solidify the names. It's probably just going to cause confusion. Finally, do not let them sing the alphabet song when they're touching and naming the letters. We all know about LMNOP. LMNO, some people think, is maybe just one letter. So actually naming, slowly identifying each letter is going to be the best practice for the student. Step 2 in daily alphabet activities would be either using the alphabet mat or just the 3D letters in general to name the letters, place them in alphabetical order. When completed, the child can also touch and name the letters to ensure that they have it correct. If you do not have a mat, do give them an alphabet strip so they have access to it while they're using it and even while they're checking it. Then step 3 in the daily alphabet activities, you can give them additional practice with the letters. So they would leave the 3D letters, and then you could ask them, go ahead and find the letter E, find the letter D, etc. And then they can point it out to you. You could ask them to touch the letters that only have straight lines, or touch 4 letters that only have 2 lines for an awareness and a raising of just that knowledge of the characteristics of the particular shape of the letter itself. You can also practice before and after. Directionality is really important when working with this population of students. Often left and right and before and after get confused. So a little bit of practice is a great idea. So for example, if you say the letter P, have them find the letter P, either on their alphabet strip or one of their 3D letters, and talk about after. Well, the letter after P is Q. Have them verbalize it. And we are experiencing a multisensory situation. We're seeing the letters, we're touching the letters. As we're saying the name of the letter, we're also hearing it. So it's wonderful. We're activating all those different parts of the brain. Now, the secondary activities, notice this is step 3 in the daily alphabet activities. So once the child is beginning to get pretty comfortable with the names of the letters and the sequencing of the alphabet, then we can move to some games. It's going to continue to reinforce naming and sequencing, but in a novel way, and everybody loves playing a game. So I have 2 pages worth of games: Battle, Dominoes, Don't Say Z, etc., Alphabet Bingo. And I have recorded these with one of my students. He'll be going into 2nd grade next year, and it's a part of this playlist. So there are additional links if you actually want to see the games in action. I also have described them here, and I would like to give credit to the Multisensory Teaching of Basic Language Skills. This came from the 2nd edition, These Different Games, by Judith Birch, and it came directly from the alphabet chapter, which is chapter 5 of that particular edition. Kay Allen was the lead author. So this is one resource that you're going to have. And then I did build a daily schedule just so you can have an idea of how to implement this, how much time it should take. So you can see we've got steps 1, 2, and 3. This is the Emerging Readers Daily Schedule first semester. So this is very appropriate for kindergarten, for a lot of your 1st grade students, and those who are involved in Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention. So yes, I do use these with, my 10-year-olds that I have for remediation. So step 1, that alphabet warm-up strip, touching and naming the letters of the alphabet. 3 minutes is going to be actually probably a lot longer than you will need. When they get really comfortable, you're looking at maybe 80 seconds. Step 2, then go ahead and name and place the letters, the 3D letters on a mat. Begin with uppercase letters. And then once they have gotten really comfortable with the uppercase, then you can go ahead and move on to the lowercase. If I have a full group, a full classroom even, or a very large group of children, they don't all necessarily need to be using the same letters. Some maybe need the mats. Some are on uppercase. You maybe have some that are strong enough on uppercase that they're ready to move to lowercase. So you can certainly differentiate within the group of children that you're working with. Then step 3, you can see the initial activities for skill development. These are some of those that I mentioned, like call out a letter for the students to echo, find it, touch it, and name. I practice before and after, for example. Then you can see potentially a 2nd semester. This is just suggested. Again, step 1, the alphabet warm-up. Step 2, potentially naming and placing 3D letters on the mat. Maybe a 2nd semester, you won't need to do that as often. It does take a little more time. But then also step 3, a secondary activity with an alphabet game. And there are Battle, Dominoes, Bingo, etc. that I have recorded for you, and that's a part of this playlist. So those are just suggested guides for you. And you can see that this is about 12 minutes worth of time, and it doesn't even need to take that much time if your schedule does not allow. However, with our children that really are just barely learning the names of letters, really don't have much, if any, phoneme, grapheme correspondence, that 12 minutes is going to be very, very valuable time that you spend helping them to secure and master and really overlearn the names of the letters. The last thing that I would like to show you is Missing Letter Deck. Kara has made a document that you may use with this sequence. This can be used if you have maybe a little less time in place of the step 2 with the 3D letters on the mat. It could also be used as step 3 instead of doing a game or one of those activities. So what we have is a 3-letter sequence. The simplest one would be J, K, and then a space in the final position. This would be a second level activity where they're filling in the medial position instead of the final. So I always give the children, keep their alphabet strips handy so they can see them and access that tool. Then I just ask them to fill in the medial position of this 3-letter sequence. So they will say J, K, L. Have them say the entire sequence. You can also shuffle your deck, A, B, C. So you can see I have 2 separate piles happening here, T, U, V. And that way, they're not always seeing the same order of the letters. S, T, U, I, J, K, etc. So you can also pop that missing letter deck in there and utilize that. Knowing the names of the letters of the alphabet is extremely important. Almost all other information that we learn as we're beginning to teach our children how to read is anchored to the names of the letters. So do take the time to ensure that your students know the names. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of this session.